Welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. Today I'm going to talk about how I continue to lose faith in humanity. It makes me very jaded and very angry and very frustrated, and it definitely makes me want to check out of society. And it's more examples. I never know how to title these videos because there's not one overlying theme. And so they usually get watched the least of all the work I do, but it's still something I want to talk about, and I think is probably my more important topics that I actually discussed. You are only valuable if you're female, in many cases, unfortunately, still if you're white, and if you provide something to society, period. If you're a man, that is. Now, you can provide very little as a woman, and still get lots of attention. But as a man, it's what you provide. And it seems that ghouls will jump on messages and use a tragedy that happens to somebody for their own narrative. And it's happening more and more, and I think it's going to continue. This is nothing new. But it's also a little friendly reminder of why you as a man, no matter what nationality or religion or anything else, but you as a man better be living your life for yourself. Because if it's not, and you think you're doing some big good for the world, the government, the populace, whatever, you'll be gone 15 hot minutes, and then the world will move on. And depending on how important you are, is how much they may or may not celebrate you. But either way, it doesn't matter. It's if you provide. The reason I got off on this story is, as you guys know, or maybe many of you don't know, I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan. I've watched the Bills since like the late 80s. I watched them through the Jim Kelly era, and I suffered with them for like 17 seasons when they didn't make the playoffs. And just recently, they've been playing really well, or back in the playoffs. And there was a playoff game last night. Well, I guess it technically is the first game of the playoffs to find what seed there was going to be. And one of the players went down on the team. His name's Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin, and he's in critical condition after a collapse on the field. He didn't receive a very hard. He was a tackler. He was a defensive back, and he didn't receive that bad of a tackle. He just got thumped in the chest with a shoulder pad, and it was enough to send him down, and he went into cardiac arrest, and they had to do CPR on him right there on the field. You see neck injuries and other injuries where guys get toted off, but you don't see very much, where that kind of thing happens. And if you do, Twitter trends died suddenly and news searches have died suddenly. A lot of people are saying, hey, these jabs, we're seeing a lot of young, healthy players go down. But what set me off so much about this is the humanity and the person and, who this guy is as a person is often overlooked. Now, there was a large outpouring on Twitter for hoping that he does well and everybody giving him well wishes. So it's not like everybody was a ghoul, but I'll get into it. I start on these rants and I forget to get into the news. And anyway, he collapsed on the field during the first quarter of the nationally televised game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Was given medical treatment for nearly 20 minutes before being taken to a hospital. He suffered a cardiac arrest following a hit on our game versus the Bengals, which again is not normal for like a 24-year-old young man. I think he's 23 or 24. They say he's at UC Medical Center for further testing and treatment. He's currently sedated and listed in critical condition, and they have him on a respirator. And they say he's a fighter, and we're all pulling for him. As a good human being, you pull for him. But I think what really sets this in for me is that people were instantly online trying to buy his playing cards. I don't know if that's the full. Let me pull up now that I'm on that topic. Let me pull up that. Here's the hit. And this is on Twitter here. And he's right here. He's number 3. And I'll play it back for you a little bit. So you can see he comes in here. And it happened, the tackle. Jeez, pause. The tackle happens right here in the beginning where he just runs in. And he's right here. And the shoulder gets thrown into his chest. This is not a hard tackle. He just takes him down, then he stands up and he kind of wavers and goes over. I'll play it again for you real quick so you can see. But For you that watch football, this is not a hard hit. In any sense of the word, it's kind of just a normal tackle. He gets up, and then he wavers just a little bit, and boom, guy has a heart attack, and down he goes. And again, it's a solid hit, but there are chest pads. They don't mention this a lot of times, but when you play football, the shoulder pads come down across your chest. They actually lace up right around where my zipper is here on my chest. So they do spread a sharp impact that would normally hit your solar plexus or something across your chest. This shouldn't be a problem. But the problem is after that, the ghouls start coming out. eBay is going absolutely nuts right now. All the money should be getting donated, not buying rookie cards for a man hanging on for dear life. And I actually posted, I had a response that I left up, and this is from Laura Loomer, who's conservative, if you look at her tag, investigative journalist, author, former Project Veritas operative, America First Republican, former congressional candidate, and feisty Jewess. And she says, we have a response, and this, again, is within the hour or two of this young man taking this hit. She says, we have a responsibility to speak up for those being harmed by Big Pharma and the NFL management who pushed the jab onto healthy young players and staff. We have a responsibility to speak up. And my response was, Damar Hamlin is literally fighting for his life. Yes, there are questions to be asked, but later. In the meantime, can we have some humanity for 5 effing minutes, please? And I bring this up because both sides are guilty of this, right? There's a mass event where multiple people get hit by long-range hole punchers, shall we say. And instantly the Democrats are out there within 3 hot minutes saying, oh, this is why we need reform, weapon reform. And it's like, can we maybe pause for a moment? Remember, there's human beings that have just been ended, and that a crazy person's out there, and that this is a tragedy and there's humanity involved. Nope, we got to push our message. And then when a lot of people said, I don't want to get the jab, I don't trust the science right now, I'm going to wait to see longer term studies, and somebody would then get COVID and pass away that was unjabbed, the left jumped up and they, you idiot, we told you, and celebrating someone losing their lives. Now, the right isn't celebrating so much, but they're doing the same damn thing as the left was, which is, look, this says we were right about given subject and etc., because look what just happened to this guy. But here's the part that they always seem to forget. And this is what bothers me so much about this. This is from Jordan Schultz. He's with, let me see here. He's with NFL Insider and NBA analyst. He says, Damar Hamlin's a truly wonderful and special person. He made an enormous impact on his community long before he made it to the NFL. As you'll see in this video below, please pray for Damar and his family. And what you see is him when he got a little bit of popularity, when he got a little bit of money. But even before then, he was involved in giving back to his community and doing donations for children. They actually interview him here. And he's like, hey, I'm lucky, I'm fortunate. You know, I have a good family, I have a supportive family, but there's a lot of people out there that don't. And so in his free time, he would go out, and he has a charity that, and this is a young 20, I think he's 23 or 24. I forget the number. I knew it 2 hours ago, but I'm old and I forget things. And he said, I have a great advantage of having a family. I'm going to give back to the community. These are the kind of things we need to be talking about when somebody gets hurt. Not the political BS, not anything else. But why do they use something like this? Because he's known, because it was on national TV, because he's a football player, because he's popular, because they don't talk about this stuff. Both the left and the right all use men for their causes. This is another thing. Bill's safety, Damar Hamlin was asked what's important to him aside from football. Beautiful moment. He said, I'm big on my family unit, my mom, my dad, my little brother. That's pretty much my whole world. Any other thing going on in my life revolves around them. He's a good family man, a young man, but a good family man. And again, all these, I don't want to play a lot because this is filmed by the NFL and I don't want to get copyright hit. In 2020, at the end of his final year at Pitt, Damar Hamlin organized a toy, and this is when he was still in college, organized a toy drive for kids in his hometown of McKees Rocks, Pennsylvania. This is the young man who went down on the field tonight in Cincinnati. He is a man, not a number on a jersey. Prayers for Damar. And I think that's important to remember. They care about him, but they don't care about all the other young men that are losing their lives or struggling or having problems with things. And if you notice, I've got this story up here. Idaho murders. Suspect arrested in the killing of 4 college students. These were 4 young women, all Caucasian, all pretty, all young. They weren't really popular or known, yet this becomes a national story. Missing YouTuber Gabby Petito's final text revealed after her remains were found. National story. Young, female, yes, Caucasian. Would they be doing the same stories for, other young males or other black males, YouTubers? Well, the answer to that is no. Because here's a missing YouTuber, Desmond Atika Amofa, found deceased in New York. Do you remember the national headlines about this? I don't. He went missing on the night of June 19th. This is the story from June 25th. He was gone missing a week. Why did we not hear anything about this young man? Is it his skin color? Is it his that he's male? He's around the same age as Gabby was, roughly. He's 29 years old. Gabby was, what did they say? How old did they say Gabby was? I don't remember if they say 22-year-old. Okay, so he's a little bit older. Why don't we care about that? Why is this only a one-sided thing? Chicago ends 2022 in violence as holiday shootings leave 7 dead, including a young boy, 21 others wounded. If we're supposed to be this evolved society, and this happens to be Fox News, but there's CNN, there's MSNBC, there's ABC, there's CBS, there's YouTube channels. What about all those young men? Is it because they're men? Is it because they're black? Is it because they're inner city? What? This happens every weekend in Chicago, where there's 3, 5, 7, 10 shootings. It never hits the news. Shouldn't this be a national outcry? Why do they not care about these men? It's simple. These men do not produce for the society. They're more likely a drain on society than an addition to society. And that's something that I think this whole story, everything about this relates to that. That you're a good man if you give to society. Otherwise, you're invisible. You're not existent. You're unimportant. But as a female, as a young woman, and again, it happens to be these young women were Caucasian, because I'm sure there are plenty of minority women, black women, that are shot in Chicago that don't make the news, or that are missing or have awful things happen to them. I'm sure there's many missing, but we seem to only see the stories of the 4 college students that all happen to be as white as milk. Are we still, when everybody says, oh, this is such a ist society. I say, no, I don't really think that we are. But then I see things like this and I say, something? There's a lot of people that are not being talked about, and as a matter of fact, swept under the rug, like, let's not talk about this issue because it goes against our narrative and it doesn't support the current thing. All because maybe they don't fit the right demographic or the right age. These are still people's lives. So the reason why I want to talk about this is twofold. Number one, always remember, guys, that you are only appreciated for what you do to society. And they're going to try to convince you that you need to do things for society to be a good man. You don't. You can be a good man just doing things for yourself. Now, of course, it'd be great to give to society. I've done Habitat for Humanity, and I've gone down when I lived in North Carolina. I'd go down to the food donation center and ask if they needed help. Unfortunately, I was given the unenviable task of going to these huge bins of potatoes and yams and other vegetables that were donated by farmers, because if they're not quite perfect to go into a bag on a shelf, they're not just thrown away, which is a good thing. The farmers will take them over to a donation center. And there's huge containers that are probably a cube that are 5 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet, massive. And you got to dig down through these suckers, and you're taking healthy potatoes that maybe don't look great, that maybe consumers might not want to purchase because they're weird shaped or miscolored or whatever. And you put those in a bin, and then you have to separate out the ones that have been crushed and are mushed and are rotten, and and put those in a different bin. And then you go over and wash off the other potatoes. It's a long, involved process, touching a lot of rotten food, a lot of rotten vegetables or fruit or whatever. I've done it. I can give back to society. Now, if something happens to me, does that mean it puts me in the paper and I'm cheered and lauded? No. But I'll tell you something, in the long run, that also doesn't really matter now, does it? Because you can do good for a society without the notoriety, but what everybody wants today is to really do nothing for society, but they want the notoriety. So you can be a good man and you can give to society, and it doesn't mean you need to get married and have a family and give your money to these corporations that hate you. It means you can donate your time, your energy, your attention, your caring, your love, like this young man did with his donation centers and things like that, even when he was a college player. So that's before he got $1 million contracts to give back to his community and his family. And I think this is a good thing, and that's what we need to highlight about Damar. Not the fact that he's a Buffalo Bills player playing on a National Football League and he gets hurt. Not the fact that maybe the NFL forced him to get a jab and because of that he's having issues. Those are topics we need to talk about. But how about while the guy's not intubated in a hospital struggling for his life? And what about all the other people that aren't quote unquote important? What about these young men that maybe have not had an opportunity in life to get better, who've been told that they'll never amount to anything, who don't have fathers in their families, but they feel like they need a group of belongings, and so they join a gang to get that? Why are we not fighting to save these young men? Why are we not saving, people in this situation? And instead, they say, well, we're only going to hire certain people. That's not helping the people that never get to the application office. That's not helping the people that get involved in these gangs and these other problems. That's not helping them. Really, what you're doing is you're helping the best of the best, the people that have the most advantage. You're helping them, but you're not helping truly the disadvantaged. And that's what bothers me the most. So why give to a society? Well, I think it's good to give to a society, but give in ways that matter. Like donating your time or your resources. I should be getting back to that now that I'm kind of settling into Tennessee. I probably will. But it doesn't mean you need to live the life they want you to lead. Because, again, if you're irrelevant, if you don't matter, you'll end up a statistic, and they'll just blink as they blaze by you because you don't fit a narrative. Guys, join me over on betterbachelor.locals.com, where I will be doing more in addendum to this video. And if you're here on Locals, we'll continue with the next segment.